Chris here at the Handle It Warehouse. We've just received a Handle It stretch wrapper, and we want to prepare you for what to expect when you receive your Handle It stretch wrapper. As you can see, it arrives in this massive box, which is on a very large pallet. First things first, make sure it arrives in a box. If it does not arrive in a box, that means there could be freight damage to the unit. So, second thing would be, if the box is here, there's no damage to the box. So take a walk around and make sure that there's no damage or big creases or dents in the box. Do not sign any freight paperwork until you get a chance to open this up and take a look and make sure everything is intact. So we open the box, now we want to inspect for damage. Starting at the bottom of the mast, we're going to take a look at the lower limit switch, just make sure that's intact. So up here you have the upper limit switch, same as the lower one down there, check that out. Then next to that you have this fan cover, make sure this isn't dented in at all. From there we're going to look at the carriage, just make sure everything's intact here. You can see like the rollers, make sure they're not pushed in or anything. And down here, pretty important, you can see this limit switch, it's for the carriage door. Make sure that's not offset or got hit at all. And then from there you have the safety pan. Make sure that's not dented in, because you can see it's close to the box, so if someone hits it, it could get dented in. Big picture, take a look, make sure there's nothing beyond cosmetic damage. If there's anything like just a smashed in tower or something like that where you think it couldn't be fixed, that would be a reason to refuse the shipment. All this other stuff can be fixed easily, so just call your local dealer and they can contact us, we can get you parts. Just note any shipment damage on the paperwork, take pictures, and call us if you have any questions. So we inspected for damage, we removed the box and all the packaging. Next thing we want to do is tip the mast up and insert bolts so it stays secure. The bolts for that are going to be located right here next to the power cord, next to the manuals. You're going to need an 8mm and 6mm Allen wrench in order to secure these. So now we can tip up the mast, and as we do that, we want to be careful not to pinch this power cord. Make sure it feeds through. And once it's up, you can put these bolts in, tighten them up, and there's one other on the back side. Now that we have the unit in place, we want to plug it in to a 110 outlet. Couple things to note. You do want to have a dedicated circuit with a dedicated outlet. You don't want to use extension cords, and you don't want to plug into a GFI outlet. The GFI outlet will trip it. Now we're going to plug it in. Now that we have the unit plugged in, we can turn it on by turning this power switch to the right. Once it boots up, it is going to ask you for a system reset by blinking right here. So you push that in, and what's going to do is put the carriage to the home position, and the turntable is going to go to the home position. And when it's finished, it's going to beep back at you. Now that the system reset, I'm going to go into manual mode by toggling here, and I'm going to hit the carriage up speed. Now I want to bring this up to chest level. The reason I'm doing that is I'm going to walk you through some different things to look at, just to point out how the sensors work on this machine and make sure they're all intact. Now we're on the back side of the machine. I just want to point out a few components here. Right up here you have the upper limit switch. What this does is as the carriage rises up and it clicks right here, it lets it know that the carriage is at the highest point and that it can't go any higher. If you go down here, you have the lower limit switch. Same thing, as it's going down you can see it's in line, clicks, and it'll stop. Next to here you have the fan cover. Once in a while someone might hit this or it could get dented in and you might hear like a clicking noise. That's just the fan hitting this cover. If that happens, you can easily replace the cover or even just undent the cover by hitting it out. So all of our machines have a safety feature on it. So when this carriage is going down, if it hits anything, it's going to stop. I tell you that because a lot of times people see this and they see that it's loose and they want to tighten this pan. That is intentionally loose. The reason it's loose is because when it goes up and it's hit, it does trip this limit switch here. So if you tighten it up, it's going to trip the limit switch and you get an error code and the carriage won't go down. So do not tighten the safety pan. Also, when you receive it, sometimes if someone hits this, or just even after you have it, if they dent this in and it's kind of pushed up a little bit, it'll be tripping that. So you want to keep an eye out for that as well. Another feature of all of our handle it stretch wrappers is that they all have a photo eye on it. The photo eye in this machine is right here, and what that does, it detects the height of the pallet. So it tells the carriage, hey, I'm at the top of the pallet, I don't see anything, time to come back down. So if I put my hand in front of this, notice right now it's green. If I had a pallet there, it would be yellow because it would be detecting the pallet. And once it got over to the top of the pallet, it would just be green and would come back down. Most of these photo eyes will detect any color that we have for a pallet, but if you get black or shiny loads or some stuff with certain holes in it, you may need to upgrade to a different photo eye. But this one does have a sensitivity adjustment on it, so you can try that out first to see if it'll work for your load. Now that you've received the machine, inspected it, put it in place, plugged it in, powered it up, and know the basic controls of it, we do have more videos that you can watch that show you how to use and operate the machine. Thanks again for purchasing Handle It Stretch Wrappers. So if you have a machine and you're not loading and unloading with pallet jacks, you don't necessarily have to anchor it down. It's a good idea, but not a requirement. I want to show you where the anchoring points are on the machine. Right here you have an anchoring point, and on the opposite side. Now if you have and you want to load and unload with pallet jacks, manual pallet jacks, you get a ramp like this. It's about a 4-foot ramp, and then you definitely want to anchor down the ramp and the machine so that way it's not moving around at all. If you happen to get the unit with the integrated scale, don't anchor down the machine then, because it will affect the scale. Another thing to note, when you're looking down here, line it up. You do want to have a slight gap, because if you get too close to it, you're going to be touching the turntable as it spins. So it's okay, and you are supposed to have that slight gap. So we showed you what the standard pallet jack ramp looks like, which is fine for standard jacks that are 48 inches long or shorter. But if you have a longer jack or you have an electric walk behind pallet jack, you're going to want to use an extra extension. So if you look down here, we have the standard ramp here, which we used before, but then we have this extension piece. These join together with 4 bolts that you can tighten with a 17mm socket. And then you now have 2 more additional anchoring points. You have the ones up front here, and you have the ones that were on the other ramp over here. So this extra deck allows you more clearance so you can get the forks out of the load when you load and unload. Now that we have the machine in place, we are ready to load the film so we can start using it. So it just goes on this spindle here, in place there. So we have a 20-inch roll of film on here, and it's machine grade film. Machine grade is very important because if you're using hand wrap and you go to use it in this machine or any stretch wrapper, it's going to tear because it's not strong enough. Common mistake people make when they go from hand wrapping to a machine is using that hand wrap, and then they think there's something wrong with the machine, but it actually is the film they're using. So what we do is we include a 90 gauge roll of film with every machine just to get you started on the right path. So we have it loaded here, and then we're going to bring it in and thread it through the carriage. Now what we're going to do is open the carriage door so we can feed the film through the rollers. So you pull this around and go around this roller. Don't go behind it. You go straight through, and then here you go behind this roller. Very important you go behind this roller because this roller engages the motor so it'll feed the film through. So right now if I pull, it doesn't pull that well, but once I close this door, that engages this switch to let it know the door is closed. Now if I pull, you can hear it feeds the film through. Again, if I open it, try to pull, it won't pull through. So sometimes people have it closed and they go to pull like this and it won't pull. The reason is that this limit switch might be knocked off a little bit, maybe in transit or something like that. So that's somewhere to check if that would happen. But for the most part, you close it, go like this and pull through. There's a diagram here that gives you a refresher of how to load the film as well. So we powered on the unit and did our reset. Now I want to walk you through the rest of the controls and point out what exactly they all mean. So looking at the controls, the first one you see here is the emergency stop button. You push that in, it's going to stop everything. And you get the error 1 message. When you're done using that, pull it back out. A lot of times people forget to do that and they get error 1 and they don't know what the problem is. You have to hit reset to get out of that. So from there you have the start button, which is used to start a cycle in automatic mode or record mode. Next to that you have stop, which is used to stop a cycle at any time. Then you have the reset button, which we discussed earlier, bring everything to the home position. From there you have the plus and minus buttons. These are used to change values on the desired setting. Now below that we go to save, used to save any changes. One thing to note, whenever you save, you must hit the OK button over here to confirm the saved changes. A beep will then follow, which confirms the changes were saved. Back over here you have the load button. This is used to select a pre-saved cycle for automatic mode. Then you have record. This is used to start the recording process, which we'll discuss in another video. Then you have this automatic manual OK button, which is used to choose between the automatic mode and the manual mode. It's also used to confirm the changes like I mentioned earlier. Below that you have the program escape button, which allows you to toggle between these 3 different wrap cycles, and also the escape portion allows you to kind of get to a home position. These 3 positions are up, down, which in this one, the pallet will be wrapped with the carriage going up to the top of the pallet and then coming back down. Up only, the pallet will be wrapped with the carriage only going up, then stopping at the top of the pallet. Top sheet, the pallet will be wrapped with the carriage going upward, then pausing at the top of the pallet. The operator would then place a top sheet on the pallet and hit the start button. The machine would then secure the sheet to the pallet and finish the cycle coming back down. Then you have these icons down here. You have the bottom wraps, which is the number of times the bottom of the pallet is programmed to be wrapped. You have top wraps, which is the number of times the top of the pallet is programmed to be wrapped. You have tension. This is how tight you want the film to be applied to the pallet. Below that, you have rotation, which is how fast you want the turntable to rotate. Then we have carriage up speed, which is how quickly the carriage raises, and carriage down speed, which is how quickly the carriage lowers. For these 2, you would want to lower the speed if you have a taller pallet because you can get more coverage in the middle of the pallet. That's it for the overview of the controls. Next, let's show you how to make changes to a wrap cycle. Now that we walked through the overview and basics of how to use the controls, we want to show you how to make changes to an automatic mode. First thing we want to do is make sure that we're in automatic mode. You can see the red light is by the automatic sign. If you go like this, you'd be in manual, but as you can see, we are now in automatic. Then we press load. And as you scroll through up here with the plus and minus buttons, you can see you get the different saved pallets. So this goes all the way up to 9. And then you have 9 more that are recordable modes. We'll talk about that in a later video and go walk through how to do a recordable mode. For now, let's just go to 4 and hit the OK button, which is selecting that program. Next, we're going to select program. By pressing this, we can select if we want the up-down mode, the up-only mode, or the top sheet. So if we keep going, see it toggles through that. So let's stay in the up-down mode. From there, we want to click on this icon, which is the bottom wraps. As you can see, it's blinking, so we can make changes with the plus and minus. So we want to change it to 2. Then we're going to go to top wraps. We're going to change that to 2 as well. We're going to go to tension. It's at 50. We'll just change it to, actually, let's go down. We'll go to 45. From there, we'll go to rotation speed. It's at 11. Let's change it to 12. We'll go to carriage up speed, which is at 65. We'll change it to 70. Down speed, 65. We'll change it to 70 as well. Now that we made our changes, we can click save. Now remember, we have to click OK. It's going to beep letting us know that those changes we made are saved. Now we just hit start and it's going to wrap pallet number 4. We showed you how to make changes to an automatic cycle, but normally you're going to have all those pre-configured so you don't have to make changes. And it's easy as just walking up to the machine, selecting which pallet program you want to wrap and hitting start. So all you would do in order to select a pre-configured pallet is click load and then scroll up. In this case, we'll go to number 4 because we just did that one. Hit OK, hit start, and it will wrap. Now I want to show you how to use manual mode. It's not something you really should use it often because it defeats the purpose of the automatic mode. But if you do want to use it, this is how you do it. So first of all, make sure we're in manual mode. So toggle to there. Then we're going to use 3 buttons. We're going to use this turntable button, up speed for carriage and down speed for carriage. To start, hold the turntable in and wait till it beeps. Once it beeps, it's going to keep going. Now to go up, I push the carriage speed up. If I let go, like right now I'm going to let go, it's going to stay and not move up. Now if I go back up, it's going to go up. So I'm going to go to the top of the pallet, and now I'm ready to come back down. So if I'm going to come back down, I'm going to hit the down arrow, and I'm going to hold it in until I get to the bottom of the pallet. And once I'm at the bottom, in order to stop, I'm just going to hit that turntable button again. And that's complete. So we showed you how to use manual mode. Now what I want to show you is if you want to change any settings in manual mode, you have to go in a different way. So I'm going to show you how to change the carriage up speed, so how fast it's going to go up, the down speed, turntable speed, the tension, all these within just manual mode when you're using it. And then also, since we're going to be in that section of the board, I'm going to show you how to change the photo eye delay for your automatic modes. So in order to get into those settings, we need to power the unit off. And then when we turn it on, right when it turns on, we have to hold the start and the OK button at the same time. So I'm going to turn it on and hold those in until it flashes G1. So it's flashing G1 and 11. That's the setting for G1 right now. G1 is the turntable speed. So I'm going to click OK. If I want to make changes, I'm going to go to 10 and click OK. So I've made those. That allows me to go to G2. G2 is the carriage up speed. So if I click OK, I can make changes to that. I'm going to go to 65 and click OK. Now, if I want to go to the next one, I hit the plus sign. That's going to be G3, down speed. Click OK again, so I can go to 65. Click OK. Then I want to go up to G4, which is the tension. So I'll do that. It's showing 25 for tension. Let's say I want to go down to 20. I'm going to go hit OK and go down to 23 and hit OK. Now I can go up to G10. So G1 through G4 are just settings within manual mode. The only other one that you want to go into here would be G10, and that's for actually automatic mode. Automatic mode, it's going to be the photo eye delay. So it's at 3 seconds right now. I'm going to keep it there, but I just want to show you guys how to access that. Any of these other parameters in here, you don't want to go into and make changes unless you're talking to a handle-it technician, because there are changes that can affect the performance of the machine. So if I want to make these changes that I did, just like before, earlier, to save, I click save, and then I do OK. Now I made those changes in manual mode. Another feature of this machine I want to show you guys is recordable mode, sometimes called playback mode. What it is, it's like using the manual mode, but you can save every step you did and play it back. So it's a very highly customizable way of wrapping your pallets. It's a very unique feature of this machine. So let's show you how it works. So when you go here, first of all, you're going to hit record and then start. Once I hit start, it's going to count everything that I do. So like manual mode, I'm going to do the turntable, start spinning that. And then I'm going to raise the carriage up. You see the carriage, you notice it's going up because I'm holding it down. Now I'm going to keep it right there and let it wrap in the middle for a little bit. If you look at the display, you'll see that I'm at step 3 because I only did 3 things. Now I'm going to go back up, kind of finish up the pallet up top. I'm going to let it wrap there. And now I'm going to hit stop. And wait till it completes. Then I'm going to, it's defaulting to record number 1. I'm going to say I want this saved as number 3. So if I save it and click OK, it saved it to number 3. So now what I want to do is reset this and get it back to the down position and then do that exact same thing by going to recordable pallet number 3. So I click reset, I'm gonna get the turntable at home position, the carriage to the bottom. Now if I want to wrap that exact same pallet, I go over to load and I go up to recordable number 3, hit OK. And now if I hit start, it's going to start counting back those 5 steps. So this is going to be the exact same way I just wrapped the pallet. Notice the carriage is going up. It's going to stop in the middle. Step number 3 it's at. Now step is going to go up. So there, I just completed the exact same wrap that I recorded earlier.